the end of the Great Wall of China at Shanghai Pass. Located where the Great Wall meets the Bohai Sea, the Shanghai Pass, often referred to as the first pass under heaven, marks the easternmost terminus of the Great Wall of China. This strategic fortress stands as a symbolic and physical boundary between China's northern frontier and the vast ocean beyond. Built during the Ming Dynasty in the 14th century, Shanhaiguan served as a critical military stronghold, guarding the vital passage between Manchuria and the North China Plain. It was here that generals and emperors once marshaled their forces to fend off invasions, and the wall itself continues into the sea at a section poetically known as Lao Long Tu, or the Old Dragon's Head, as if the wall is a sleeping dragon dipping its snout into the water. Today, this site is not just a historical landmark, but a dramatic visual reminder of the scale, ambition, and endurance of ancient Chinese engineering. 2,800-year-old lovers, an eternal embrace from the past. Discovered in an ancient burial site, these skeletal remains, locked in a tender embrace, date back nearly 2,800 years. The pair have captivated archaeologists and romantics alike, symbolizing a timeless bond that defies centuries. Experts believe the couple may have been deliberately buried together in this intimate pose, perhaps reflecting ritual practices or honoring a profound connection in life. The age of the burial places it within the Iron Age, a time of tribal warfare, evolving spiritual beliefs, and early urban civilization. Whether they died in a tragic moment or were laid to rest together by choice, their union is a haunting testament to love, loss, and memory preserved in the earth. With arms encircling one another and skulls gently tilted as if in mid-whisper, these 2,800-year-old lovers remain one of archaeology's most poignant and mysterious discoveries. Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla, playing with electricity when wit met genius. In the late 19th century, the worlds of literature and science collided in a dazzling display of friendship and curiosity. Mark Twain, the celebrated American author, known for his razor-sharp wit and irreverent humor, was a frequent visitor to Nikola Tesla's New York laboratory, a haven of crackling coils, whirring dynamos, and groundbreaking experimentation. The two men struck up an unlikely friendship rooted in mutual admiration. Twain was fascinated by cutting-edge science, and Tesla appreciated Twain's creative mind and larger-than-life personality. In one famous moment captured by an early photograph, Twain can be seen holding a strange metallic device while standing in Tesla's lab, surrounded by glowing tubes and electric arcs. Tesla, ever the showman scientist, often demonstrated his latest inventions, some involving high-voltage currents and wireless power, using Twain as a willing, if occasionally shocked, test subject. Legend even says Tesla once cured Twain's chronic constipation by having him stand on a high-frequency, oscillating platform that shook him to his core, literally. Their interactions weren't just playful. They symbolized a rare moment when the Enlightenment ideals of reason, imagination, and progress came to life, when the storyteller and the inventor danced at the edge of the modern age, lit by the sparks of innovation. Lincoln at Antietam, a president among the ruins of war. In October 1862, just weeks after the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, President Abraham Lincoln traveled to the battlefield of Antietam in Sharpsburg, Maryland. His visit was more than symbolic, it was strategic. The Battle of Antietam had ended in a tactical stalemate, but it gave the Union a much-needed morale boost, allowing Lincoln to issue the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation shortly afterward. Photos from this visit, including one famous image of Lincoln standing alongside General George B. McClellan and his officers, capture a rare moment. A wartime president face-to-face with his generals, surveying the aftermath of a pivotal conflict. Lincoln, tall and somber, appears almost out of place amid the war-hardened soldiers, a civilian burdened with the weight of preserving a fractured nation. This visit also marked a turning point in Lincoln's leadership. Frustrated by McClellan's refusal to aggressively pursue retreating Confederate forces, Lincoln would soon remove him from command. Antietam wasn't just a battlefield. It was a stage where Lincoln's resolve hardened and where the future course of the war and of American freedom quietly shifted. Building the Hoover Dam, engineering against the impossible. In the heart of the Great Depression, against a backdrop of economic despair and environmental extremes, the United States undertook one of its most ambitious engineering feats, the construction of the Hoover Dam. Built between 1931 and 1936, this colossal structure rose from the harsh, unforgiving canyons of the Colorado River, straddling the border between Nevada and Arizona. Thousands of workers, many desperate for employment, braved scorching desert heat, dangerous heights, and brutal working conditions to tame the river and carve a modern marvel from stone and steel. Often living in hastily assembled camps like Boulder City, they poured enough concrete to pave a road from San Francisco to New York. The dam's curved, gravity-arched design pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible at the time, standing 726 feet tall and holding back one of the most powerful rivers in North America. More than just a dam, it was a symbol of American resilience and innovation. Hoover Dam provided flood control, hydroelectric power, and irrigation water for millions, literally shaping the future of the American Southwest. It also marked the moment when modern infrastructure became a tool of national identity, built not just with muscle and machines, but with hope. Testing a bulletproof vest in 1923. Bravery, ballistics, and a bit of madness. In 1923, the world watched with equal parts awe and disbelief as inventors and daredevils quite literally put their lives on the line to prove a revolutionary new technology, the bulletproof vest. With cameras rolling and spectators holding their breath, a man, often the inventor himself or a brave assistant, stood motionless as another fired a live round directly at his chest. These early tests weren't conducted in labs or under today's rigorous safety standards. They were raw, public demonstrations meant to silence skeptics and drum up interest from police departments and military officials. The vests, made from layers of silk or tightly woven ballistic fabric, had to prove they could stop a bullet at close range, usually from a .38 caliber revolver. These trials were dramatic, but essential. Crime was on the rise during Prohibition, and law enforcement was desperate for an edge. The success of these early vests paved the way for the modern body armor used by police and soldiers around the world today. Looking back, it's both absurd and inspiring. Men willingly stood in front of a gun, not just to prove a point, but to change the future of personal protection forever. The moment they opened King Tut's tomb, a glimpse into eternity. On November 26, 1922, in the Valley of the Kings, British archaeologist Howard Carter peered through a small opening in a sealed doorway and beheld what the modern world hadn't seen in over 3,000 years, the untouched treasures of a long-lost pharaoh. With a candle flickering in the darkness, Carter famously replied to Lord Carnarvon's anxious question, "Can you see anything?" With the now legendary words, "Yes, wonderful things." This moment marked one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time, the tomb of the boy king Tutankhamun. Hidden behind layers of rubble and forgotten by time, the tomb was packed wall to wall with gilded statues, chariots, jewelry, ritual objects, and, ultimately, a solid gold sarcophagus holding the mummified remains of the young ruler. The air inside the tomb hadn't been breathed in millennia. Every artifact was a window into the rich and complex world of ancient Egypt, a civilization obsessed with the afterlife. But alongside the awe came rumors of the curse of the pharaohs, as members of the expedition began to die under mysterious circumstances, feeding a media frenzy. In that instant, the past collided with the present. It wasn't just a tomb that was opened. It was an ancient chapter of human history, sealed in silence for centuries, now echoing once more. The first photo of Abraham Lincoln, a glimpse before greatness. Long before his face was etched into mountains and currency, a young, clean-shaven Abraham Lincoln sat stiffly before a daguerreotype camera in the early 1840s, captured in what is believed to be the very first photograph of the future president. At the time, Lincoln was a relatively unknown Illinois lawyer and aspiring politician. Photography itself was still a novelty, requiring subjects to remain perfectly still for long exposures under blinding light. In this first portrait, Lincoln appears solemn, his angular features already hinting at the weighty figure he would become. There is no iconic beard, no presidential gravitas, just a lanky, intense man staring down the lens of history. The image is more than a curiosity. It's a rare window into the quiet beginnings of a man who would one day lead a fractured nation through its darkest hour. In a century dominated by painted portraits of the elite, this photo humanized Lincoln early on. Unpolished, real, and unmistakably American. In retrospect, it's chilling. A simple photograph of a man yet unaware that his destiny would involve civil war, emancipation, and eventual martyrdom, his face frozen in time before the storm.